ask you, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on truth, and I'm staying on truth. Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violation. We want no violation. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you.
All right, Jann Scott with you here following this.
Mr. President, I looked at the same timeline.
Kaitlan is dressed like a virgin, and Trump is walking all over her.
I was reporting that thing. But when it was clear to you that they were not being peaceful, you saw them rushing the Capitol, breaking windows, they were hitting officers with flagpoles, tasing them, beating them up. When it was clear they weren't being peaceful, why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol? They listen to you like no one else. You know that.
They do. I agree with that.
So
But
why
Nancy
didn't you tell them sooner?
Nancy Pelosi and the mayor are in charge. I assumed they were able to do their job. They weren't.
But
And it
Pelosi's
kicked
not in
in.
charge of
And
Capitol.
if you remember, I made a video right outside the Oval Office in the Rose Garden. And I'm very proud of that video. I didn't have a script. I don't need scripts like a certain person that's in
But
there
what
right
time,
now.
the video, it came out much later after they already left the Capitol.
It was a great video, and it was a beautiful video, and it said, I mean, I don't want to read it all, but you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people of law and order. We love the people.
Dude,
of
Trump
law
is
and order.
dominating
We can't
this
play into
thing.
the hands of these other people.
Caitlin's no
We have
match.
to have peace. Please go home. No, I said that.
Referring
You
to
know
the law and
they
order
did?
there,
They took
Mr.
that
President.
down, and you know, to this day, it hasn't been put up.
Trump
And
is
the
running the
reason
show.
it's so good and so conclusive that all of this nonsense
is
and all of that
outmatched.
tens of millions of dollars that have been spent are just wiped away with this one, and they've never put it back up. They had another one that they did the same
But that
thing.
video that you referenced there, it wasn't posted until 4:17 p.m.
No, I'll tell
They
you,
breached the Capitol at 2 p.m.
That video was
Mr. President.
posted,
4:17
yeah,
p.m.
before, actually a little bit before that.
Why is she
Right,
being
so that's
polite
like-
to him?
In that 3 hours,
She should be
over
smacking him
140
around.
officers
Posted
were
after the
injured.
first one I just read though, and that was at 2 o'clock.
But I think the reason the timeline is so critical here, because going back to your inputs, in
Here's
that
another
3
one.
hours, over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed. And that thug that killed her, there's no reason to shoot her.
Right here, what's she gonna do? Nothing.
Blank range, cold
She should be
blank
stopping
range
him
shot
cold.
her. And she was a good person. She was a patriot.
Oh my
There's no
God.
reason to-
Look at this. Caitlin's letting him get away with it.
He went on television.
She's letting him get away
the
with
fact
it.
That he killed her.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he
Oh,
killed
he
her,
was
but one
bragging.
person who was at the Capitol that day, as you know, was your vice
This
president.
girl cannot handle
It
Trump.
says that you
Oh,
endangered
man.
his life on that day.
I don't
Do
think
you
he was in
feel,
any danger.
Mr. President, do you feel that you owe him an apology?
Of course he
No,
doesn't.
because he did
Fuck no.
something wrong. He should have put the votes back to the
Stupid
state
question.
legislatures, and I think we would have had a different outcome. I really do.
And he doesn't have the authority to do that.
They're applauding Trump.
The vice president
And
doesn't have
Kaitlan.
the authority to reject
Are you ready?
those
Let's have this one
elected
out just now, because it's interesting. Let's keep it interesting, right?
Look at her. She's running the
He's a
show.
very fine man. He's a very nice man. He made a mistake. His lawyer said, you cannot move. I called him the human conveyor belt. I said, even if the votes, you mean, I talked to his lawyer, even if the votes are absolutely fraudulent, he can't, yes, sir, he can't send them back. And the Democrats played it, and the rhinos played it. And then the election.
Look at
was
this.
over. They told him we couldn't
Trump
do it.
is
And
running
Mike
the
said,
show.
You can't do it. The lawyers told me you can't do it.
Caitlin
They can't do it.
is like
The lawyers were wrong. Because
so
right
far out of
after
her
the
element.
election,
Chris Lick, nice
they
job
all met
here.
the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure.
If you want to handle this guy, you put somebody in there
What I said.
that
you
can
could
take
do.
this
That's
son
not
of a
what
bitch
happened. You're
home.
referring to the electoral count.
Yes,
I read that. There is no authority.
No,
Legal
excuse
experts,
me.
including Republican legal experts, say that he does not have that authority, Mr. President. But I
Caitlin,
want
why
to
did
move
they
on.
change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about
Oh, they
presidents
strengthened it,
exploiting.
meaning you could do it.
That's not what it means.
Thank you.
They
Look at this.
strengthened
She's
the law.
getting all the applause lines.
They convinced him he didn't, and it was a horrible thing for our country. If you would have sent those votes back to Georgia, Pennsylvania, and other states, Wisconsin, which if you look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted now that the election was rigged. If
They
you
have
would have
not
sent
admitted
those
that,
votes
Mr.
back to
President.
many of those states, they would not come back.
Why is she calling him Mr. President?
Remember what I
She should be
said?
calling him
You just
douchebag.
said it pretty
They're
much
like, hey,
exactly
you
what I
fucking
said.
liar.
They said he didn't have the right to do it.
Come on,
Anything
Kaitlan,
else
call him a
to do it.
liar.
And that's why they changed the law.
Tell him he's
taking it
lying.
right away.
I should note that your campaign paid for a recount that happened in Wisconsin. It actually had more votes for President Biden by the end of it. But I want to move on to Wayne Byer. He's a retired attorney from North Conway.
So many illegal
She's
votes
losing
cast
this.
in Wisconsin. And if you look in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they had so many illegal votes, they didn't even know what to do with them. You're absolutely wrong.
This guy's a
There
great
were many
liar.
illegal votes in Wisconsin. I do want to get to the audience, though. We have questions for you from the audience. Wayne Byer is a retired attorney from North Conway. He has previously served in Republican administrations. He volunteered for the Republican Party in the 2022 midterms. He voted for you in 2020. What's your question for the president, Wayne?
Thank you for coming, Mr. President.
Thank you, Wayne.
My question to you is, will you pardon the January 6th rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But you know, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM. Many people were killed. These people, I'm not trying to justify anything, but you have two standards of justice in this country, and what they've done.
Look at this.
I love that
He's
question,
just running
is what
over
they've
the
done
whole
to so
show.
many people is
Oh my
nothing,
God.
nothing. And then what they've done to these people, they've persecuted these people. Yeah, my answer is, I am most likely, if I get in, I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they did a very.
Another applause. How many applause lines has Kaitlan gotten? None.
They're living in hell right now.
So when it
They're
comes to
living in
pardons,
hell. And they're policemen. And
She can't get a word in edgewise. She's supposed to be running this show. She has no idea what she's doing. She's never done a talk show.
People who was convicted was a former
Oh,
policeman,
boy.
but he was convicted of attacking a police officer, I should note. But when you said you are considering pardoning a large portion of those charged with crimes on January 6th, does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial. You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial.
Look at this guy.
Speaking of New York, I want to ask
Her
about a
smirks aren't
significant
gonna get her
part of
anywhere
the
here.
I know this is something you want to weigh in on as well. A Manhattan jury found that
Sure.
you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this, but what do you say to voters who say it
They're
disqualifies
laughing.
you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out. They went up. I think
My God.
I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog, or her cat, was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. But
This
with
guy
that,
is
they
killing
could do
it.
anything.
Oh, boy.
Jury of 9 people who
CNN.
found you liable
She
for
is like-
sexual abuse. Do you
she
think
doesn't stand a chance
that
here.
will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into, other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old. This is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department, so we had this great chemistry. And a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room, at Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door, so she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I?
you, Kaitlan, you are dead.
Just so you understand, if I was walking in at the because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it, I'm not going into a dressing room of a crowded department store. Then I say, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped. Okay, that was her charge. There was
They found
they
you
did,
sexually
they found.
abused her.
What? Say what they did. They said he didn't rape her. And
They didn't.
I didn't do anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President, can I ask you, given your recounting
I
your
don't know who,
version?
and I tell you this.
But Mr.
Are
President,
you ready?
can I
swear
ask
on
you
my
what
No, you can't ask him anything. He's
I
got
have no
you.
idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr.
This is
President,
a
you're
fake
recounting your version of
story.
events here right now to the audience. You referenced the trial. You did not go to the trial and actually
That's right.
testify. Do you wish that you had
No,
testified?
it wouldn't have made a difference. This was a rigged deal. My lawyer said, sir, you don't have to do it. I actually said, I think I should. It would be respectful. They said, sir, don't do it. This is a fake story and you don't want to give it credibility.
One
That's
thing
why I
you-
didn't go.
One thing you did do in this.
This guy is a polished talk show host, and she is a babe in the woods.
I have no
Wow.
idea who the hell. She's a
Mr.
whack
President,
job.
you did not testify in person in this trial. There was a tape deposition of you from October in it. You defended the comments that you made on that Access Hollywood tape about being able to grab women how you want. Do you stand by those comments?
I said if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, but I said if you're a star, you are, and I said women let you. I didn't say you grab, I said women let, you didn't use that word, but if you look, women let you. Now, they said, will you take that back? I said, look, for a million years, this is the way it's been. I want to be honest, this is the way it's been. I can take it back if you'd like to, but if you're a famous person, if you're a star, and I'm not referring to myself, I'm saying people that are famous, people that are
Every
stars,
single question, he's
people
running
that are
over the
rich,
top of her.
people that are powerful, they tend to do pretty well in a lot of different ways, okay? And you would like me to take that back? I can't take it back because it happens to be true. I said it's been true for 1 million years, approximately 1 million years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
So you stand by those
Well, I
comments?
don't want to lie.
Mr. President, we have a lot of
Here's what
questions.
she wants
Mr.
me to say.
President, let's
A
get to
rich
the
and
audience
famous
questions
person
tonight.
has no advantage over anyone else. Well, you do have an advantage.
Caitlin
And I
just
said,
lost control of this
unfortunately,
show
That's the way it is.
from the
You said
very
fortunately
first.
or Unfortunately,
Well,
but Mr.
fortunately or
President, we have a lot
unfortunately
of
for
audience
her.
questions to get to tonight. I want to go back to the audience. We've got
You're not gonna
Danielle
get to
Reeder.
anything.
She
You are
works as an
done.
oral surgery assistant. She's a Republican activist from Derry. She was a New Hampshire delegate for you in 2020. What's your question?
Hi, thank you so much for coming to New Hampshire to answer our questions. My question is regarding the economy. Over the past 2 years, we have seen the
These
prices
people
for
love
everything
him.
skyrocket. From food to gas to utilities and insurance costs, many people's bills are up several $100s a month, including mine. If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill. We were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. And nobody had ever done what I did. We got oil down to $1.87. Actually, it fell lower than that in some cases. We had to save the oil companies. The price was getting so. We were doing incredibly. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country, probably the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. We were going to be bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together ×2. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation. Any other nation. And these stupid fools ended it. And energy went from $1.87 and even lower for gasoline, for a car. They went from $1.87 to $5, $6, $7, $8, and even $9. And your electricity bills went through the roof, your heating bills went through the roof. And that's what started inflation. And it hasn't stopped because people are paying now for bacon and for eggs and for the 2 and 3 times what it was just a little while ago. We created
This may be the
biggest
broadcast
economy in history.
that
A
gets
big part of
Trump
that
reelected.
economy was got you the biggest tax cuts.
This is
in the history of our
unbelievable.
country, bigger than the Reagan cuts. Bigger
I'm
than
CNN really fucked up here, but
And also, Caitlin, also,
they thought they were going to
as
take
you
this
know, we
guy
had the
down.
biggest regulation and regulatory cuts. This place was
Oh, look at this.
and we were
He's now
getting
playing
from
right into
China,
her.
And China paid a big
He's
price.
gonna
And let me
turn
tell you
her
something. I took in
into an
hundreds of
advocate for
billions of
him.
dollars in taxes from China. But prior to COVID coming in, and then I rebuilt the economy again, a second time. But we had prior to COVID coming in as from China, from Wuhan, which I said it came from Wuhan. Everybody said, oh, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. It came from Wuhan. I said it right from day one. So we had the greatest economy in the world. Here's the story. They made energy so high, and energy is all invasive. It is massive as an industry and as cost. It lifted everything. If
Mr. President,
if you make
economy.
donuts, if you made, no matter what you did, and we had
She
inflation,
can't
the
stop
last of
him.
which I guess we haven't
Look at
actually
this.
said for 52
Look at
years,
her.
but I think more
It's a
than
wonder
that.
she doesn't
We
just
had
lay
no
back
inflation.
and
We
give
had
up
the lowest
entirely.
energy prices we've had in decades. This country was rocking and rolling, and by the way, we had the most secure border.
He has total control of the show.
We have more questions on the economy, and I want to make sure we get to all of those. As you know, the U.S. right now could be just 3 weeks away from defaulting on its debt. There could be millions of jobs lost, people not getting their Social Security payments. People believe it would put the U.S. economy into a recession. On that topic, I want to bring in Marta Cervella, a student here at St. Anselm. She is an undeclared voter who did not vote in 2020.
She hates
What's
him.
your question?
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi, thank you.
So my question is, what do you think about the United States' current debt situation, and how can we move forward?
Such an important question. So we're at $33 trillion, a number that nobody ever thought possible. When we had our economy rocking and rolling just prior to COVID coming in, like literally, we were making a fortune. And oil, we were going to make so much money from oil, we were going to start paying off debt. But then with COVID coming in, we had to do other things. We had to keep this country alive because it was so serious. But we have to get the country back. We have to lower energy prices. We have to lower interest rates. Interest rates are through the roof. Energy has to come down. It all has to come down, and we have to start paying off debt. But when we have a debt limit, and they use that very seriously with me. They came in, Schumer came in with Nancy Pelosi, and they were using, we'll violate it, we'll do whatever. They talked a whole lot different than they do right now. I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're gonna have to do a default. And I don't believe they're going to do a default because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave because you don't wanna have that happen. But it's better than what we're doing right now. Because we're spending money like drunken sailors.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans
We
are
might as well
demanding?
do it now because you'll do it later. Because we have to save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the
That's
Oval
when I was
Office.
president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
She cannot fucking handle
The
him.
U.S. defaulting would be massively
Well, you don't
consequential
know.
for everyone in
It's-
this room, for all
You don't know.
Americans.
It's psychological. It's really psychological more than anything else. And it could be very bad. It could be maybe nothing. Maybe it's you have a bad week or a bad day. But look, you have to cut your costs. We're spending $7 trillion on, much of it on nonsense. $7 trillion on nonsense.
We've got
I
another
actually
question for a
said,
voter today.
get all of that money that was wasted, and frankly, the Senate should have never approved it. Get all that money that was wasted, and if they don't get rid of that, you'll have to default.
Mr. President, we've got another voter here
And by the
tonight.
way, you're gonna default eventually anyway, but it's gonna be much messier. I don't think you'll have to default. I think if the Republicans hold strong and they say we want let's say we want $5 trillion off, I really think the Democrats have no choice but to do it. And if I win, they're gonna be doing the same thing to me in 2 years. I guarantee you that.
Mr. President,
They're
we've
gonna
got
play a
another
very
voter
hard
here
ball game, and
tonight.
they did that before.
Bobby Petrino has been waiting very patiently. He's a student at St. Anselm. He's a member of College Republicans. He's an undeclared voter right now. He supported you in 2020. Bobby, what's your question for President Trump?
Hi, thank you for coming. This is a bit of a pivot, but with gun violence and mass shootings in the news cycle recently, I'm worried that state governments and the federal government are going to act to repress gun rights. Under your administration, you instructed the Department of Justice and ATF to ban bump stocks. If elected president again, how would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights that have been taken from us, such as, by example, recently the ATF's ruling on the pistol stabilizing braces?
Yeah, as you know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing, and NRA, I went with them and they said it doesn't mean anything. They're actually, all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately. So we did that. There's been nobody that's protected the Second Amendment, as you know, like I have. I've protected it through thick and thin, not easy to do. But we have a very big mental health problem in this country. And again, it's not the gun that pulls the trigger, it's the person that pulls the trigger. And we have to protect our Second Amendment. We have to protect
Mr. President, you dealt with a lot
This
of
guy,
mass shootings when you were in office.
it's
this
amazing.
year.
He is
There
just
have been more
over-
than 200 mass shootings
overrunning
in
her
2023.
completely.
If you are reelected, are there any new gun restrictions that you would sign into law?
I would do numerous things. For instance, schools, we would harden, very, very much harden. And I also am a very believer, I believe in teachers. I love teachers. I think they're incredible. And they love the children, not quite like the parents, but they love the children in many cases almost as much. Many of these teachers are soldiers, ex-soldiers, ex-policemen. They're people that really understand weapons. And you don't need 5% of the teachers would be more than you could ever have if you're going to hire security guards. But in addition to that, have security guards. You have to harden your entrances. You have to make schools safe. And you can make other places safe. But it is a big mental health problem in this country more than anything else. And remember, we have 700 million guns, 700 million. Many people, if they don't have a gun, they're not going to be very safe. I mean, if they don't have a gun, it gives them security. Now, you need them for entertainment, you need them for hunting, you need them for a lot of different things. But there are people that if they didn't have the privilege of having a gun in some form, many of them would not be alive today. You know, there is a certain country that had a very strict policy on guns, very, very strict.
Which country?
And, Brazil, okay? Brazil, very strict. And the former president of Brazil, and the killing was incredible. They were walking into people's homes and killing people. They had no protection. He said, go out and buy guns. People went out and bought guns, and it went way down. The numbers went way down because they had security. If you look at
Kaitlan is out of her element. She
single
can't even
toughest gun
address this.
policy in the nation. They are so tough you can't breathe. New York too, and other places also. All of those places are the worst and most dangerous places. So that's not the answer.
No new restrictions that you would sign if reelected, Mr. President. I want you to meet Julie Miles, a registered nurse from Merrimack.
What is
She's
she
a
having all
Republican
these
voting
people
for
up
you
there
in
for?
2020.
They are
Julie, what's your
shills.
president?
Thank you, Mr.
Useless.
President. I appreciate you answering this question this evening. How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
It's such a great question, and it was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made, and look, everybody that was president wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50
Republicans?
years. Republicans. For 50 years. This has been going on. Actually, a
No,
couple
they
of
didn't.
Democrats do. But
Neither
for 50
Bush tried to get
years,
rid of
This has
him.
been going on. I was able to
Reagan
do it,
didn't
and
try to get rid of
I
him.
was very honored to do it. But by doing it, things are happening that are very, very positive. And I happen to believe in the exceptions. The life of the mother, rape, incest, like Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions. But I happen to believe it. I think it's frankly
It's
important
unbelievable.
to do that. But a lot of people are, against that.
This is the
A small,
Donald Trump
relatively
show,
small, relatively
and
small
Kaitlan
number,
is
but
the intern.
the way I look at it,
sitting
this is what I
around.
wouldn't say this.
He's going
I
to tell her to
consider
shut
the
up.
other side
Watch.
to be radical.
Don't
Because the
interrupt.
other
He's
side
going to
under
tell
Roe
her.
v. Wade and all things, the other side,
Oh my
they're
God.
radical.
She needs to
Because
throw a
people-
pie at him.
Remember
Throw a
the
chair at him,
baby, when they
Kaitlan.
said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end
Oh
of the
boy.
9th month.
Oh
They will
no.
kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute
But
the
Mr.
baby.
President, can we talk about what you would do if
No, but
you
these are the
are
radical people.
re-elected?
It's not the pro-life people that are
But
radical.
if you are re-elected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that we were able, I was
No,
able, I'm
that's
so proud of it.
that's a straight up
With
lie.
3 great justices on the Supreme Court.
He probably
We
would
had
sign it.
almost 300 federal judges on the Supreme Court.
So you, just to be clear, Mr. President, you would sign a federal abortion ban into law?
I said this, I want to do what's right, and we're looking, and we want to do what's right for everybody.
He's not going to
what's
answer.
right?
Now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating capability, because you didn't
See,
have
he's
it before.
signaling
They could
without
kill
answering the
baby in
question,
ninth
of
month
course.
or after the baby was born. Now
Here he goes back
This
to
is a really
that.
important question for you to answer, because this is something every Republican, including those who are running against you for the nomination, are being asked about is, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
And many of them are going to give you the same answer as I am. First of all, I am honored to have done what I did. And a lot of people said, in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm
Oh, boy.
honored to have done it.
Look at this, another applause line.
And because of what I've done, we now have a great negotiating ability. That's what I do in life, I negotiate. We have a great negotiating ability, and I think we're going to be able to
But
get
what do you
something
mean
done.
negotiating ability? Because the question that Republicans have, and some of your allies on Capitol Hill said they
See,
want
she's
to
leaning
use
on this, but she's
legislation
already
when it
lost
comes to banning
this
abortion.
argument.
If they send
Ah,
it to your
boy.
desk, would you sign
No
it?
idea
Some
what she's
people
doing.
are at 6 weeks, some people are at 3 weeks,
Where's
2
President
weeks.
Trump?
President Trump is going to make a determination what he thinks is great for the country and what's fair for the country. But the fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We
What
were
does
in a
she
very
think
good negotiating position.
he's gonna
right
say
now,
to her?
Only because of what I was
He's
able
already,
to do.
he's
And
answered
remember
it.
this, again, you talk
She
about
asked another
radicalism.
question, he's going to take her back
People
down to
that
the
will
mat.
kill a baby in the 9th
Oh,
month
boy.
or the 8th month
There it
or the
is.
7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the
I
pro-life.
just want to give you,
Oh boy, here we go.
I just want to give you one more chance though. because
No,
you
you
can't
could
answer whether
give it
you
up,
sign a federal
Kaitlan.
abortion ban or how
You
many
think
weeks
this
into
is your-
pregnancy you believe abortion should
She
be
thinks
banned.
this is her
Can you
linchpin.
answer either
I've
of
given
those
you
tonight?
the answer probably 4 times already.
Which
Yeah,
one?
he sure has.
I'm looking at a solution that's going to work. Very complex issue for the country. You have people on both sides of an issue, but we are now in a very strong position. Pro-life people are in a strong position to make a deal that's going to be good and going to be satisfactory for them. If you weren't able to get rid of, you wouldn't be having a discussion, if you weren't able to get rid of Roe v. Wade, which put pro-life in a dead position, a horrible position. They could kill the baby at any time they wanted to, but we did something that nobody thought was doable. And other Republican presidents, and others, by the way, they wanted to get it out. They also wanted to bring it back to the states, but bringing it back to the states is a less important issue
But that's why
than
this
the
is a
issue that
question
we
about a
just talked
federal
about.
abortion ban. You did not say yes or no to that.
It
You did
depends
not
what,
say how
it
many
depends.
weeks.
Doesn't matter what he
Lindsey
says.
Graham
You
said.
did not say
Oh,
how
God,
many weeks.
He said an
Caitlin,
idea, and a lot of other
give it a
people have
break.
ideas.
You already
And,
lost this.
I look at all the
And
Give
a lot
it.
of people will
and I'll
be
make
curious
the,
what
I'll
your
make the right
idea is
decision.
on that. President Trump, we've got more questions to come for you tonight. We'll
Make
be
the
right back
decision for them.
in just a moment.
This guy's unbelievable.
Welcome back to CNN's Republican Presidential Town Hall with former President Donald Trump. President Trump, I'd like to meet Jennifer Simmons. She is a stay-at-home mom and former town selectman from Wyndham. She's a Republican and she voted for you in 2020. Jennifer, what's your question tonight?
Good evening, Mr. President. Title 42 is expected to expire tomorrow. Our southern border and now our northern border are experiencing record migration. We learned on May 2nd that the Biden administration plans on deploying 1,500 troops to the southern border. Do you agree with deploying troops to the border, and how will a Trump administration slow down the rate of migrants coming across all our borders?
Sure. A very fair question, especially since tomorrow is going to be a day of infamy. You're going to have tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. Even the judge, the judge overruled them when they wanted to terminate it early, and he said, that you better extend this thing. The judge in Texas said, I hope you're going to extend this, but this is my policy that they're letting terminate because they lost in court, they wanted to go earlier. You're going to have millions of people pouring into our country right now at a level that nobody's ever seen before. These people are sick. Anybody that wants this to happen to our country, they're destroying our country, and this should not be allowed to happen. How they're not going to do a version of Title 42 or my Title 42, which was tough. If people are sick and have infectious diseases and lots of other problems, we don't want them being into our country. We have enough problems right now. We have problems like we've never had in the history of our country.
But Mr. President,
our country
the
is
reason
being
it's ending,
destroyed.
the reason it's ending is because the health policy, the COVID era pandemic emergency is coming to an end. That's what Title 42 was. You put it in place because
That's
of COVID.
true, but you
when
have-
it comes to big questions about what your immigration policy would look like if you are reelected, some of your Republican rivals have criticized you for not fulfilling the promises that you made on the campaign trail, like finishing the border wall. So how did voters know that you would get those done if you're reelected?
I did finish the wall. I built a wall. I built hundreds of miles of wall, and I finished it. And then I said, we have to build some more because there are areas like water going through a dam. There are some areas where a lot of people are coming. You close up one and they come into another. And we started another 100 miles of wall. In fact, I said to my people, if we start this and don't finish it, and then we had a rigged election, I'm sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged, Mr.
good,
President. You can't
I'm
keep
glad
saying
you
that all
said
night long.
And so
You cannot
then
keep
they
saying
took
the
over
election's
and they.
See, she needs to lean on him hard, and she's not leaning on him. She's incapable of doing it.
It would be hard to
She needs to,
believe
like,
it.
reach over and
Millions
smack
of
him.
People flow into our country. Look, a country has to have borders.
Guy's lying
There's
through his
never been
teeth.
anything like is happening to our country
You
right
built
now.
about 52 miles of new wall when you were in office,
It is.
Mr. President. It wasn't the complete wall. One other thing that was
No, but I can respond to
with
that.
your immigration, it was only about
Okay,
52
can I
miles of
respond?
new wall.
This is what she does.
This is great.
I
Now
built
he's blaming
hundreds of
her.
miles. Some of the wall was up there and would be laying on the ground, rusted, rotten steel, rusted, rotten wood, and what the radical left crazy Democrats did, if there's a piece of wood laying down, they consider that a wall. I built 30-foot walls that go down 7 feet into the ground. If there was a little piece of wood sitting in the ground, they said, oh, he's not building a wall, we already had a wall. Because this is the game. They're a party of disinformation.
It's not a game, Mr. President. It's about 52 miles of new wall. What other immigration
No,
policy
he
you have
built
when
more
you were
than
in
that.
office?
I built new wall.
52 miles.
For hundreds
according
of
to
miles.
CBP, Mr.
What I
President.
did is I replaced other wall that
I
was
thought he
laying
built like
down,
280
that was
walls.
up and rotting in the ground for 30 years. Some of it was steel that you couldn't
Mr.
even
President, it's
see.
only about 52 miles of new wall, but moving on, another immigration policy you had was
She's
the
dead
zero
here.
tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
Well, when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building
Would
prisons.
you re-implement that if you're reelected? Is
Well,
that what you're saying?
we have to save our country, all right? We
So
can't
it's something
afford-
I love the way he goes back to that.
When you say to a family that if you come, we're gonna break you up, they don't come. And we can't afford to have any more. Look at New York City, look what's happening. They're living in Central Park in New York City. The city is being swamped. Los Angeles is being swamped. Iowa is being swamped. Our whole country is being destroyed. Millions of people are
Look at
coming
this.
into our country. And you know what the number is going to be, in my opinion, by the end of the year? Not the 4 million that you hear, the 3 million. I think it's going to be 15 million people. And in these people, they have no idea where
See,
they come from.
she lost
They come
control
from
of this
129
conversation,
different countries
too.
so far.
He's just running right over the top of her.
Put a button on that. It sounds like what you're saying is that you're not ruling out re-implementing that immigration policy. I want to get to another voter. Kaitlan Boissonneau is a student here at St. Anne's.
He's just
College.
laughing at
She's
her.
a Republican.
He's fucking
This is the
laughing
first
at her.
election that she has voted in. What's your question for the president?
Oh
Kaitlan?
boy.
Hello, President Trump. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
The current administration has made it clear that we should continue to provide military equipment to Ukraine so that they can defend themselves. Do you support this decision, and how would you deal with the increasing threat posed by Vladimir Putin?
First of all, thank you very much. It's really nice. And it's an important question, so important, because we're giving away so much equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving away so much. But here's the thing. I have to say it to start off. No longer matters. If I were president, this would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew it would have never happened. and his pipeline would have never happened. A lot of things would have never happened. But this would never happen. And all those dead people.
See, she can't get a word in edgewise.
They wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities.
Kaitlan, you are weak.
To the ground, that wouldn't have happened.
They needed a big, strong, tough son of a bitch
We've given so
to
far
fight with Trump here, and they don't have
$171
one.
billion. They've given, meaning European Union, which is approximately the same size altogether as our economy.
It's
They've
the
given
Trump
about
show.
20. So we're at 170, let's say, and they're at 20. You don't have to know too much about history to realize, or geography, to realize that they're a little bit more affected than we are, okay? So they've got to put up a lot more money because they're taking advantage of us like every other country did. That's why I ended NAFTA and replaced it with the USMCA, Mexico.
But on
Canada.
this issue, Mr. President, I should know, I don't know any Democrats who have said they don't believe Putin would have been invaded if you were president, but her question is, would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because, as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment.
Here he goes. He's lying again, but what's she going to do? She's not even going to.
So I happen to like, yeah, that's right.
Dad, look at this. She didn't even stop.
By the way, just a waste of time and money.
You were impeached over that. You were impeached over that, but let's stay on topic here, Mr.
No, you're not going to stay on topic. You've got to go to where he is and slam him. Oh.
The question here is, would you give Ukraine weapons and funding if you were
I would
elected?
Doesn't
sit
matter.
down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
How would you settle down the war?
If I meet with Putin, I meet with Zelensky, they both have weaknesses and they both have strengths, and within 24 hours that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be
Do
absolutely
you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking out this
Well, this is going to get this guy elected. He's going to be fucking reelected.
You have to get
Mr. President, can I
Europe.
just follow up on that because that's a really important
Excuse me, let me
statement.
just
No,
follow
Right
up.
there.
see,
Can you
excuse
say
me.
you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want
He just
everybody
told
to
her
stop
what
dying.
he's going to do.
They're dying. Russians and
He's going to
Ukraine.
negotiate a peace, is what he's saying. She's too stupid to see it.
I'll have that done in
Oh my
24
God.
hours.
Oh
I'll
my
have it done.
God.
You need the power of the presidency
Probably
to do
will.
it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win. You
You know what I'll say? I'll say this. I want Europe to put up more money because they're.
I love this guy. He just batted it back.
Money. They should equalize. I got with NATO.
But I'm
When I
asking you
sat down,
about
I got
Ukraine
them
right
to
now,
put up
Mr.
hundreds
President.
of billions of dollars.
She has
They
lost
weren't
control of the
Obama
fucking
and Bush
whole show
and
from
all
the
of these
beginning.
other presidents.
Here we
That's
are,
why they're able to help them
53
fight
minutes
war
into
because of the
this,
money I got.
and she's
But
got,
I want
he
Europe-
has her down. He's kneeling on her neck.
Because they're laughing at us. They think we're a bunch of jerks. We're spending $170 billion for faraway land, and they're right next door to that land, and they're in for 20. I don't think so.
When it comes to what's happening there, when you were in office, you said that you respected President Putin. Do you
Yeah.
still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He was a smart guy, you know. I remember I said he was smart, she was smart. They
What was
said,
his
he
mistake?
said President Xi of China, right, is smart. Okay, 1.5 billion people, he's the ruler of 1.5 billion people. I said, he's a smart guy. How dare he say he's smart? Of course he's smart. They want you to say he's a stupid person. Okay, he's not a stupid person. He's very smart, he's very cunning. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his mistake?
His mistake was going in. He would have never gone in if I was president. We used to talk about it there.
Oh,
Do you
really?
believe that he is a war criminal?
What?
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal? He's responsible for the deaths of thousands
Well,
of
I think
Ukrainian
this,
men
I
and
think
women
it's
and
something that should not be discussed now, it should be discussed later, because right now we have to go to war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's gonna be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's gonna be a war criminal, where people are gonna go and grab him and execute him, he's gonna fight a lot harder than he's fighting, you know, under the other circumstance. That's something to be discussed at a later date.
But isn't it
Right now, we
important to
wanna
call it
get
what
that
it
war
is?
settled.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about the money either. I'm talking about all the lives that are being, the number of people being killed in that war is far greater than you hear. When they blow up a city and those buildings come pouring down and then they say 2 people were injured, no, hundreds and thousands of people are being killed, and we have to get that war settled.
We have more with former President Trump right after this.
Wow.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with questions and voters right after that. Presidential town hall with former President Trump. President Trump, we will have more voters' questions, I should note, in here in New Hampshire to get to, but I also want to talk about some of the other investigations that you're facing. We talked about others at the top, but one of those is the special
Watch it.
counsel's
He's going to start
investigation
stalking
into
her.
classified
That's the
documents.
worst thing to go,
Why do
is
you think
toe-to-toe
this
with this
happens
guy.
at the White
I
House?
have
Like
the
meeting him in an
right to
alley.
the Presidential Records Act. You have the Presidential
Watch him, he's
Records
gonna
Act.
move
I
in
was
on her.
there, and I took what I took, and it gets declassified.
She should have been wearing
And
combat
he
boots,
has
and she's in
1,850
heels.
boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown, where they don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking about.
I gotta stop
Nobody
you right
talks
there
about it, they
because
talk about us.
They-
Just so you understand. I
They
had the right to
do
do
speak
it.
English.
I didn't make a secret of it. You know, the boxes were stationed outside of the White House. People were taking pictures of the GSA. Of the
You're going to stop
I
him?
gotta you right
You're
there
going to stop him? You're not going to
because
stop
the
him.
Records Act is not well known to a lot of people. I read it. It does not say that you can take documents with you. It says actually that they
It
are
says
the property
you,
of
it
the
says you
federal
talk,
government.
you
with
negotiate, you make a deal. It's not criminal, by the
It
way.
does not- it does
The
not say that you
Presidential
can
Records Act is
negotiate.
not criminal. And just so
It's
you
not that you
know,
can negotiate to
Just so
keep the
you-
documents with you.
can I tell you, just so you understand, the
Oh,
Presidential
look,
Records
he's
Act is
taking
not
her.
criminal. I took the
He's
documents
taking her to
all out. You know
school.
who else took them? Obama took them.
Here, let me tell you
Nixon took
something so you
them,
can understand.
Obama did not
Reagan
take
took 'em.
documents.
Ah, he did too. He did not.
The
Reagan
National
took
Archives
them.
says that President
Even
Obama
Jimmy
did not
Carter.
She's
take
playing his
documents.
game.
Had some documents, and he's a
You
very
reference
honorable
Pence,
guy.
you reference
But you know who
Biden.
took them more than anybody is Joe Biden.
Joe Biden took him.
Nobody talks about him.
Look at her.
And they put a rough guy on us, and they, in the
I think it's
meantime, they
important,
have
Mr.
nobody.
President, to actually set the record straight here. They took documents, including President or Vice President Pence. When they realized they had documents, they turned them back over. The difference is that you waited to turn yours over, and it was a
Excuse
year and
me.
a half effort that included a subpoena with those documents. One question about
It
what happened
included
when
a
you got
raid
those
on my
documents.
house. That's what it included.
Yeah.
They
You'd
didn't raid.
gotten a
They didn't
subpoena,
raid
they had not
Biden's
been
house.
turned over yet.
They didn't raid Biden's house. You know what happened? They put him in the house. That's the one with the Corvette, where the documents were laying all over the floor. That was fine.
Oh
And
my.
you know what happens to be at Mar-a-Lago? Secret Service, and they're phenomenal. I have Secret Service. He didn't have Secret Service. The other thing, the Vice President cannot declassify. He didn't have the right to declassify. He has documents from when he was a senator. And even Democrat senators say, I can't believe it. No, I went by the Presidential Records Act,
That's not
and
what
we
the
were
Presidential
negotiating
Records Act
with
says.
NARA.
That's not what it says.
And
Mr.
NARA has
President.
red flagged a thing called the Constitution.
She's just rolling over
of
the top of her.
States And the Bill of Rights, because they consider them
Mr. President,
She is no match for him.
And I should note that there is a special counsel investigating your document situation.
Look at it, he's
also
moving in
President
on her
Biden's
space right
document
now.
situation.
He's
When it
already
comes
moved
to
a
your
foot or
documents,
two.
Did you ever show those classified documents to anyone?
Not really. I would have the right to. By the way, they were
What do you mean, not
declassified
really?
after. Not that I can think of. Let me just tell you, I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I have the right. I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely
But you don't
left
negotiate
group
with
of
them.
people. Extremely left. And I was negotiating with
They're
them.
not
All of a
left,
sudden,
they're
they
bipartisan.
raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like
Joe
you
Biden
did. And so
took
that's the question.
1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew
She's
the
not
federal
winning
government
this.
was seeking
This
them
is
and
her
they
strongest
gave you a
point so
subpoena to
far.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah,
Uh,
let's
she-
answer.
Do you mind?
Oh, look
I'd
at
like
it.
you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple.
Ah!
It's
Do you
very simple.
mind?
You're a
Do you mind? Can I
nasty
talk?
person, I'll tell you.
Look at that, he just fucking took her apart.
I was negotiating and we were talking to NARA, that's Washington, to bring whatever they want. They can have whatever they want. When we left Washington, we had
It's
to
a wonder he
box
doesn't
the
say
line
you're
on the
fired
sidewalk
to her.
outside for everybody.
That's how
People
much in
were taking
control this
pictures
guy
of them.
was.
Everybody knew we were taking those boxes. And the GSA, Government Service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raided our house. When Biden had his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes. And you're gonna find some real gems in there.
But it was
So
Biden
you
who
can't have
alerted
all
them that
these
he had the
different sets of-
documents.
all
The
these
National
different
Archives
sets of-
reached out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena
Because we were
asking for you to turn
negotiating
them
with
over?
them. We were negotiating with them as per the Presidential
She's just,
Records Act.
there's no fucking
We were
way
negotiating
she
with
is
them.
winning
That's
this
not what
Very
the
nice
Presidential
argument.
Act says. I've
But
seen
they
it.
gotta love our Constitution a little bit more, because, and they shouldn't red flag it, by the way. Very nice people. We were negotiating with NARA, and that's what the Presidential
See, he
Records
keeps
Act
leaning
says,
on that,
because Richard
lying about
Nixon,
it.
surprisingly, had problems. And he had a lot of problems
She
dealing
is
with
being
NARA.
way too
And he ended
nice.
up passing
Well, that's why
legislation
they
called the
created it,
Presidential
right?
Records Act, just for this kind of a thing. We were
My
dealing
last
with them, we
question
were
on this,
talking,
on
excuse me,
this
wait a minute,
subject,
wait. We were
Look
talking
at that.
to them.
She's
We would have done it, but all of a sudden they raided.
She doesn't have the
Now,
guts
why
to
hasn't-
stand up to
Why
him.
hasn't the FBI raided Biden?
But I just explained to you
Why
why.
not?
It's because he told they alerted the government that they had those documents and had those
She's trying to
documents
argue with a
ready
guy
to go.
that's a
Why
bully.
not?
She needs to be a bigger bully than he is.
Do you still have any classified documents in your possession?
Are you ready?
Do you?
No, I don't have anything. I have no classified documents. And by the way, they become automatically declassified when I took them. But
No, you
why?
have to declassify
Let me
them.
ask you a question. Why is
They are
there
too. No, they're not.
boxes in Chinatown? It's a
Chinatown.
lot of money. Why is
They don't speak English down there. This fucking guy. Hey,
they put this
What
in
you're
Jack
referring
Smith
to
and his
is in
group
office
and
and
his
look, she's trying to argue with Donald Trump. This is a lost
I need to
cause.
stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said
You
there.
can't
What you're
stop.
referring to there is an office that he had
No,
after
that's at the
leaving the
University
vice
of Pennsylvania.
presidency.
Well-
He had a temporary office. But I want to ask about another
You're
investigation
so
that you're
wrong, you
facing.
don't know the subject.
I do know the
He
subject
had
and
one
I do
at
know the facts,
University of
Mr. President.
Pennsylvania, but he also
I
had
want
9
to move on to
boxes
another
in
investigation that
Chinatown.
you're facing, which is the one that's
She doesn't
happening
understand.
in Georgia, where they are investigating your efforts to overturn the election results in the state of Georgia.
did
And at the
nothing wrong. It was
center
a
of
perfect
that,
phone call.
let me finish my question. At the center of that is that call that you had with the Secretary of
Perfect
State,
call.
Brian Raffensperger.
Perfect
In
call.
that case this summer. Is that a call you would make again today?
Yeah, I
Probably.
called questioning the election. I thought it was a rigged election. I thought it had a lot of problems. I had I guess he's Secretary of State. I called, listen to this. There are like 7 lawyers on the call, many of them from there. We're having a call, we're having a normal call. Nobody said, oh gee, he shouldn't have said that. Why? If this call was bad, I question the election.
You
If
asked him
this
to
call
find
was
you
bad,
votes.
I didn't ask him to find anything. Let me
We've
just
heard
say,
the audio
if
tape,
this
Mr.
call
President.
was
There's an
bad,
audio of you asking him to
I
find you
said,
11,000
you owe
something
me votes because the election was rigged.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Election was rigged. And if this call was bad, why didn't him and his lawyers hang up? How dare you say that? This was a perfect
They were
phone
clearly
call.
recerned enough, they recorded the call, and I should note that
This was a call that was made to question the results of election. And when we can't make a call to question election results, then this country ought to just forget about it.
You weren't just
Forget about it. Yeah, just forget about it.
And I should note that there is no evidence
Let's-
of fraud. There is no rigged election in the state of Georgia. I want to get back to the audience.
She is
Mr.
not
President, because these
winning.
are false claims you're making
He
about what happened in
wins
Georgia.
all the applause
John
lines.
Stewart
She
Tolliver
wins
is here. He's an
nothing.
undeclared
But
voter
she's-
from Hollis. He
she
voted
finally
for you in
fucking
2020.
stood up,
Jordan,
but-
what is your question for President Trump tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Thank you very much.
I'm 26. I'm a veteran. I help manage a private aviation company.
You want a job?
I'd love one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this guy. You want a job?
Private business.
Oh,
The
boy.
Republicans going after
Where's Don
us
Lemon?
like DeSantis after Disney.
Right.
What would you do as president to protect us from government interference?
Well, I'm the one that really wants to protect you. All of these fake investigations of me are about election interference. They think because I'm leading Biden by 11 points, 7 points, 9 points, I'm leading DeSanctimonious by a lot, by 40 points or 45 points. I think you ought to just relax and take it easy and think about the future, because right now his future's not looking so good. I will tell you this, we are really putting it to Biden. But he's putting it to himself because the economy.
This is the speech that wins Donald Trump the next fucking presidency. Unbelievable. He just walked all over CNN, walked all over Kaitlan.
President, I have one more question.
Unbelievable. They couldn't have put a worse possible person up here.
This is a fundamental question for you.
I mean,
You were
you know,
running in the
Kaitlan Collins is
2024 race.
terrible.
If you are the Republican nominee and you were in that 2024 race, will you commit tonight to accepting the results of the 2024 election?
Yeah, if I think it's an honest election.
Yeah, if they don't steal it from me. If I win.
Hold on, answer it again. If I think it's an honest election, I would be honored to. And right now, we are so far ahead of both Democrat and Republican.
I know this guy's just,
And you
he
know
says
what?
he's
If I
on a
don't
roll
win,
again.
This country's going to be in big trouble. It's so sad to see what's happening.
But no commitment there on the accepting the results regardless of the outcome.
No.
Honest election,
Who
correct.
cares?
So not committing to accepting the 2024 election results.
He just waved her off.
This is an important conversation with voters to hear and to have. Thank you to our audience and to our host, St. Anselm College. CNN's coverage continues with Andrew.
Oh my God. This is unbelievable, huh?
Thank you.
This really fucking happened here?
Thank
This
you.
really happened?
Good job.
She's ready to strangle him. He fucking took this whole thing. This is unbelievable. This is Donald Trump rolling right over CNN, and Kaitlan Collins was so outmatched here. Look at him. He's saying hi, and she is just about ready to crawl into her skin. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at that. She left the stage. Unbelievable.
Oh, from Washington, it was an interesting night. Mr. Trump's first lie was told just seconds into the night with his false familiar claim that the 2020 election was, quote, a rigged election. And the falsehoods kept coming fast and furious about the
Oh
terrorist
no,
issues.
this guy,